Now we continue to the next one, proving verbal argument. So we have verbal argument or English statement. Then we would like to prove whether the statement is valid or not valid. Of course, we are going to make a use the predicate logic and the proof sequence to do the job. Okay, so over here, I already have one examples. This is quite simple because it only contains of 3 statements in these arguments. So if we check one by one, it says here every ambassador speaks only to diplomats and some ambassador speaks to someone. Therefore, this one, therefore, there is diplomat. Okay, so there are exactly 3 statements in this argument. So the first one will be every ambassador speaks only to diplomats. And the next one, some ambassador speaks to someone. And then, therefore, there is diplomat. Okay, so now it's not like, remember, translating this into predicate logic is not as how we do it in propositional logic, just indicate with alphabet and that's all. Now over here, we use the object and the predicate to translate it to predicate logic. Alright, so over here, we have ambassador, and then we have diplomats, and then we have the predicate speaks in here. Okay, so step 1, we determine the key statement first. So determine key statement as we already have over here, which is the ambassador, the diplomat, and speak. So once we determine the key statement, and then we present by predicate logic. Alright, so here either we use alphabetically or we directly use the wordings. So one, we have EX, so let us just use the alphabet. X is ambassador, and then we have DX for X is diplomat, and then another one we have because ambassador and diplomat is 2 different ones, so let's just use another variable Y, and we have speaks, so means SXY, X speaks to Y. Alright, so now after we determine the key statement and present by the predicate logic, we continue to step 2, which is convert the verbal argument or the English argument to predicate logic structures with contents of hypothesis and conclusion and form the WFF. So over here, let me just copy this one more time so we can just indicate. Okay. All right, let me just remove the highlight. Okay, then take away this one further a little bit. All right, so over here we have a quantifier every for all x, ambassador we have ex, speaks we have s x y, diplomats we have dy, and we have conjunction and some meaning existential x, ambassador ex, speaks sx y to someone. So in this case it's the variable, therefore, so this will be final statement implies there is diplomat. Okay, so it's a dy. Oops. Okay, so how are we going to put this into there is, we have quantifier y. All right, so the first one first, every ambassador speaks only to diplomats. So we have for all x, for all y. Okay, so if x is ambassador and x speaks to y, implies that y must be diplomat. So this is the first one. Okay, so for all x, for all y, if x is, let me give the, for all x, for all y, if x is ambassador and x speak to someone, then that someone is a diplomat. So this is the first one. Okay, then we have the second one, and so for the and definitely conjunctions, but we leave it that for later on. Some ambassador speaks to someone. Some ambassador speak to someone. So let me just highlight with another color. This one's supposed to be, some ambassador speak to someone, not mention who is that someone. Okay, so meaning in this case we have there is x and there is y. So x is ambassador and x speak to someone y, which is not explaining who. All right, so full stop, but the next one is the final statement, so we use implies. And the last statement, the final conclusion, said there is diplomat. So for this one, there is diplomat. There is diplomat. So there is y dy, meaning y is diplomat. Okay. So now after we have this, then we arrange the argument formula. Right. So step 1, determine key statement and present by predicate logic. Step 2, convert verbal argument to predicate logic, hypothesis, conclusions, and form. So we have the hypothesis here and here. So hypothesis, and over here is conclusions. Now we arrange into the argument formula or the form. Remember, yeah? Hypothesis, conclusions, form. Okay? So if we combine all of this into one, what we have? We are going to have for all x, for all y. So if x is ambassador and x speak to someone, then that someone must be diplomat. And there is x, there is y, x is ambassador, and x speak to someone. This is the second hypothesis. Therefore, final conclusion, there is y, that y is diplomat. So this is how we put in one argument formula in predicate logic. All right. So step 2 done. Step 1, step 2. Now step 3, definitely we start with the proving the argument. Step 3, prove the predicate logic form using the proof sequence. Okay, proof sequence rules, which we have equivalence, inference, and deduction method, and possibility we use temporary hypothesis as we discussed in the previous video. Okay, so when it comes to the proving verbal argument, always remember the first step must be list out the hypothesis. So one is the hypothesis. We have for all x, for all y, ex n as xy implies dy. Okay, then second hypothesis, we have there is x, that is y ex n as xy. So two hypotheses. Now look at what we have. Definitely you know what to do first. After list the hypothesis, then the things that we need to look at first is the quantifier. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2 universal and 2 existential. And we need to strip them all. Okay. So I will write down implement UI to want. So implement UI to want, we get, so we instantiate the x variable first. So left with y ex and as xy implies dy. Now we still have another universals here. So we again implement UI 2, 3. Then what we have left? So definitely we have the rest of the structures. Alright. And the same things we need to do for the second one, number 2. So we are going to have EI, instantiate existential instantiation. Okay, EI number 2. So what we have, let's just start with x first, and I'm too lazy to write it down back. Let me just duplicate. We have this one, and then we still have another one. So means we need to implement EI again for number 5. Then I'm going to have the rest of the structures over here. Now, what to implement next? Remember our final statement. What we need to find out? Final statement is there is the final statement we need to find out or come out with there is y dy. Okay, so continue this one. Look at what we have. So now look at number 4. We have this, and on number 6 we have this. Don't you think this is the same structures? So what rules? A implies B, A. Remember what rule this one? Definitely is modus ponens, and will result B. So in this case, result what? Definitely result dy. So modus ponens number 4 and 6 we have dy. Nice. So what left? We need only existential generalization 7. Then we get there is y. Allah. Oops. Okay, there is y dy. Done. This is what we expected in the end. There is y dy as our final statement over there on the structures. So then we can tell the arguments earlier is valid. Alright, I believe this is very clear and quite simple one. Definitely we can go with more examples, but I will leave it the rest of the examples for you to practice. I mean on the quiz. Okay, so after this video, let's just hit the quiz. Quite few numbers I will give it to you for you to practice, and let's see how much you can get it on. Okay, and as you heard earlier, it's already the agent, so it's time to go for pray. And then after this video, you may start looking at the quiz and work it out. And remember, when you do the quiz, you have the chance to discuss if anything you would like to clarify. So do not just keep silent and keep it yourself, as I am online during the quiz time. So make sure that you ask if anything which is not clear. Okay, so until the quiz done, this is the last video for today class. That's all, and see you next week for the next class. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to click subscribe, like and share. Thank you.